This prophet was on the run until he got dunked. Let's see how that happened.
Hi, kiddo. I'm Grandma Goodie, and I'm here to tell you a Bible story.
Let's start with a question. What do you think would happen if a person tried to run away from God? Well, let's see.
The story begins
With a man named Jonah.
in the land of Israel. God used to speak to him and tell him messages that he was supposed to go tell people. That's what you call a prophet. And God said to him, Jonah, go to the land of Nineveh, and I want you to preach to them that judgment is coming because they have just sinned too much, and I want to send them a message. Now, if Nineveh was all the way that way, Jonah immediately decided he wasn't going that way. He was going to go this way, and he was going to run away from God. And so he took off in the opposite direction of where God told him to go. And he ran as far as he could till he ran out of land, and he ended up in the port city of Joppa. And I've actually been to that port city. It's still there in Israel today. So he ran as far as he could go, and then he bought himself a ticket to get on a ship to get farther away from where God was telling him to go. We're going to see how that works out for him. And so God just sent a big old storm with wind, and the waves are going and the whole ship is being battered and tossed, and the big waves are coming over it, and all of these sailors are terrified, and they remembered, hey, where's that fella Jonah? He told us he was running away from his God. Now, all these sailors, he was trying to make it so that they wouldn't go to the bottom of the sea. So they're taking everything they've got on that ship, and they're throwing it overboard. They're throwing away everything worth anything because their lives are worth more, and they're terrified. They've seen big old storms before, but they never saw a storm like this one. Meanwhile, everybody else is praying to any god they could think of. So the captain goes looking for Jonah. Now, Jonah's hiding as far as he can get from God, and so he went down to the very, very lowest part of the ship and hid out in a dark corner, and somehow he managed to go to sleep. And the captain wakes him up, and he says, hey, Jonah, tell me again, where'd you come from? Who are your people? What kind of work do you do? And who's that God you're running away from? And Jonah says, my name's Jonah. I'm a Hebrew, and I usually work as a prophet delivering God's messages, but they said, we're going to haul you up here. We're going to find out whose God is sending this big old storm. And so they cast lots. That's how they would do something to find out, kind of like what we would do rolling dice today. Did this little game of chance, and it said that the storm was caused by Jonah. And Jonah says, okay, just throw me over. Go ahead. Just toss me overboard, and God will let the storm stop, because he knew it was his fault. And so these sailors, they didn't want to be guilty of murder. And so they said, oh God, please, please, if this is the only way, please don't count us guilty for this man and for us tossing him into the sea. So they picked him up and they threw him overboard, and the waves sucked Jonah down, 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 and the waves crashed over him. And then on the surface of the sea, it all got calm. Meanwhile, Jonah is sinking down, 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 and the seaweed's wrapping all around him, and he's getting sucked down to the darkest part of the deepest dark ocean.
What's going to happen? Come back for part 2 to find out.
But let me tell you where you can read that for yourself in the Holy Bible.
You want to look in the Old Testament. The book is called Jonah, and it's chapter 1, and the verses are 1 through 16. And if you're using the secret code, it's JON, the number 1, and the 2 dots, and then verses 1 through 16. And you remember, kiddo,
Grandma Goody loves you, but God loves you more, and it's probably best to obey him.